you come over here, Ruth Ann? You are very loved throughout the state, and people showed it by showing you the money. So here's one of the gifts that was purchased for you from the state by a collaboration of everyone in this room. This was purchased when you and our board went up to the UP, and we were at the art gallery. And you can tell everyone what you're opening.
This is an absolutely gorgeous necklace, and it has a treble clef on it.
So Michigan artists did that.
Yes. I'll wear it to band practice Thursday night. My new scarf.
And then, as tradition has it, you have the traditional gift that is given to every outgoing president. By the way, I was told that it's Outstallation because Outstallation is kind of mean. It's happy. It is.
Oh. Oh. I think I know what it is. It says Waterford on the outside of the box, and on the inside, yeah, sure.
And I thought I made it simple for you.
Well, it's kind of. Oh, wow. Look at this. It is a clock that has my name and GFWC Michigan and the 2020-2022.
You're welcome. And boy, it was easy to tell how loved you were. Like I said, people were showing the money. You were loved an extra $738 worth to do what you would like. You can let everyone know in the future. Oftentimes donations are made to your favorite charities, and we know you are a very generous woman that loves many of the charities. And I also wanted you to know, I saved every card, note, and letter that came with every check because everyone wanted to say something very personal to you. Sometimes they wrote it to Kathy, but then they talked about you. So I saved them all, and I want you to know how loved you are. Thank you for serving us all so well. You're such an inspiration.
And a reference point to all of us, and that you will be there to answer any questions we have in the future. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I'm sorry you're so tired.
I wanted to say thank you to Ruth Ann for being a great example from the Northwestern District.
You know, I'm not used to this sort of thing, but maybe I could get used to it.
No, you're not coming.
If I can get into it.
You better not tear your wrap paper.
Oh, no, this is wonderful. Oh, I know, we have this thing about, thanks, Matt, about wrapping paper, that we still have Christmas wrapping paper from when Jenny and Ian were little babies, because we open it up carefully, and it can be reused. I've been doing that exactly, for years and years. Look at this, isn't this gorgeous? Oh. That is perfect. Thank you. Where'd she disappear to already? Back that way. Thank you.
Ruth, they can't see the back.
Oh, it is, I gotta stand there.
For those of you who can't see, it's a beautiful scarf with music, and it looks like piano, maybe piano keys at the bottom.
Now, I can't play a piano. I can't sing, but I do play the flute. And whenever we had to. Thank you. But it wasn't an escalator, it was just a microphone. And, but yes, I love music, as you all know. And so I play the flute, and every once in a while we'll have a piece where they want us all to sing, and they don't let me sing, they let me keep playing. They know better.
You've heard from club members, you've heard from district members from your district. We have a representative of your state board who has a few words about you to share.
Okay, Ruth Ann, come stand over here just a little bit. Now, I haven't known Ruth Ann as long as most of you have. But.
Need to speak up.
Okay, I'll hold still here in a second. I have to get my props. Okay. I call this my balls speech. All right?
The mic's not working.
That is, it's there.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, hey Ruth Ann. My first impression of Ruth Ann was that of a quiet little lady that wore long skirts. I wondered how such a retiring person could step into the role of corralling a bunch of strong-minded GFWC clubs and women. That person would need balls to take on that role. So, well, first impression, they can be wrong. I've had many, many interesting conversations here I got my glasses. I've had many interesting conversations with the quiet lady that wears long skirts, who turned out to be not so shy and quiet, and have watched her grow exponentially. So,
I think you need
so here's your new pair of these balls for you. You have done an amazing job in extraordinary times. Thank you.
Okay.
Keeping her balls in the air.
And we also have a memento to remind you of what most of your meetings look like. You will notice there is a mute button. There is a leave the meeting button. So we know that no matter what comes in the days ahead, you can always go back to this as a reference, just like you have your map folded in your glove box.
And we have Justine.
God, they sound like they're married.
As
You travel with them for a while, I would think that.
As most of you know, over the years, we've developed a tradition that we call the Outstallation. It can be anything from a roast to a time to compliment our outgoing president. Tonight, knowing that Ruth Ann is not a person who stands on a lot of ceremony, if you haven't gotten that over this weekend, we've decided to be a little simple about what we have to share with you about Ruth Ann and our opportunity to thank Ruth Ann for everything she's done. As you heard Ruth Ann herself say, she did not have an installation that was a traditional highfalutin big celebration. It was in a garage. However, I know the connection that Ruth Ann and and Janet Cohn have had over the years. So I emailed Janet and said, we're getting ready to outstallate Ruth Ann, and what are your words about Ruth Ann to share with the group? So from Florida, Janet Cohn writes, greetings, ladies of GFWC Michigan, as you gather for your annual state convention. I am pleased to let you know how much I regard your outgoing president, Ruth Ann. She was a strong moral supporter of me all the years that I was a state officer, beginning when I took over as president of the Education Foundation when Barbara Livingston Wallace, all the way from when I was vice president in my positions and then on to state president. Ruth Ann has always been supportive and did everything she could to promote the Everett Club, the Northwestern District, and everything GFWC at a state level. You should be proud to have had her as your president for the past 2 years, and I know she will continue to be a vital member at all levels when her term is completed. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, and it was a great privilege to have known you. The other person who has played a major role behind the scenes in Ruth Ann's presidency, again, a person you've heard about off and on all weekend, was Bob Burns. A lot of you probably know that prior to becoming state president, Ruth Ann was the proud owner of a flip phone. She's come a long way, baby. So again, I contacted Bob and I said, Bob, what can you tell me about all the work you've done with Ruth Ann, and what are some of your comments? He says, I want you all to know about Ruth Ann's pleasant personality, but she also has a great sense of humor, and I've been fortunate to experience that on some 1,211 emails. Not all of the emails that I'm sharing with you may be appropriate for her Outstallation, but you can pick and choose what you want. A sampling to share with you tonight includes, Bob, is there any reason you can't, if I brought you a squealer to do it? Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with that, a squealer is a special donut from Cops and Donuts in Clare that has maple frosting and then bacon on it. And so it's kind of like, you know, everything a pancake is with bacon on top. And they've called it a squealer. I think that Ruth Ann has purchased more than her share of squealers to keep Bob happy during her time as president, as he helped her with all the IT things that she needed to know about. At one point he writes and says, as our work together increases, I have discovered that we have very much in common. Attached is a sample of the sums of the matrices from electronic communication within GFWC. I was curious to compare the effectiveness of the emailing of the newsletter versus using the website or using Facebook as communication tools within the organization. He says, the only reason I'm sharing this stuff with you is because I know you like numbers just like I do. And then he says, then she writes back, apparently she had done something good for him. And he said, I'm sorry I didn't send you a thank you card. Her response, now remember, Bob works for Squealer. Her response to him is, No thank you card is necessary. I work for candy and donuts.
You weren't supposed to be reading these. These are. Wait till I talk to Bob.
I am only reading the ones I think are appropriate for next year.
Have you got the armadillos on there?
He did tell me about the armadillos, but we're not gonna go into that one today. He also goes on to say, over the years, the learning has continued for Ruth Ann, but she actually had a chance to teach Bob something. Ruth Ann taught Bob how to Zoom. However, Bob had to teach her about a Dropbox because she had no idea what a Dropbox was all about. So they have shared many, many things. And because the relationships that we have in GFWC are so tight and expand even as we get involved, you all know that your family members get involved with you. We have an email here right after this whole Dropbox thing that says, all of these emails make me wonder how Ruth Ann's husband feels about all of this. Ruth Ann's response, surprisingly enough, is, hi Bob, BJ wants to know if you'll adopt him too. Over her term, Ruth Ann has done installations for a gazillion officers across the state. She's always done it with dignity and respect for the people who are now taking on responsibilities. And most of the time her installations included a little key, because each officer is a key part of their club, and they hold the keys to the success of their club, giving their clubs inspiration and enthusiasm. Ruth Ann has given all of us in the state enthusiasm. She has held the key for all of us. She chose music as her theme because when we all work in harmony, we get a whole lot more done. We have a chance to sound like an orchestra, different instruments, but all playing together for the same success in what we're doing. She has been the one who directed us all and did it with great heart. We're not done yet. The joys keep on coming. As Ruth Ann said earlier, Ruth Ann and Connie and I have traveled all over the place and have become the Three Musketeers. So we know some dark secrets about Ruth Ann. She knows some dark secrets about us, but you know, the thing is, when I first started traveling with them, I was a little concerned. I had 4 brothers. I raised 2 boys. I really didn't know a whole lot about girls. So, of course, when I ran into something in my own life that was a little weird, I held it in because I thought, well, nobody else experiences this. It's just me. Traveling with these 2 ladies, I have learned that it's not just me. And you know what? It's wonderful because I belong. We all belong. The one travel trip that I would like to share with you about Ruth Ann, and then Connie will share a few others, is that for a while, I was very involved for a number of years with Guiding Harbors, some of you know. We have the big auction. You load your car with all kinds of things to take down to the auction. In order to get the merchandise and the gifts and the bags that I had in my car down for the auction, I had to take the seats out of my van. So I took the seats out of my van, I packed my car from head to toe with all kinds of stuff. One of the items for the auction was a beautiful mobile that, you know, had a stand to it and everything. In order to display this mobile, we needed something to stick it in when we got to the auction. Okay, I have cats. Ruth Ann has cats. We share something in common. A big box of kitty litter. We're gonna stick the mobile in the kitty litter so it's freestanding and the auction will be wonderful. Ruth Ann needed a ride home from the auction. I didn't have any seats in my car.
I had the other one in the front.
Ruth Ann had no seat because Connie had the passenger seat. Ruth Ann rode all the way from Belleville, all the way to Ever, sitting on a box of kitty litter. She's correcting me, it's one of those plastic boxes. It's still a box. It's still a box. But these are some of the friendship things that we have developed over the years, and it's been an honor to be her friend and her travel partner over all the years. So I'm going to share with, come and share now.
This lady, as you know, had the flip phone, right? She didn't like the Garmins. So she wrote out her instructions on a piece of paper. And you know how scary that is sometimes? She's holding up the paper saying, oh, we're gonna turn up here. Well, I couldn't put it on my phone. So you didn't have to do it, but she'd always keep looking at her paper, looking down, and I'm going, okay, we're gonna get there eventually. But then we started using my phone. And then there was one time we went down to, when Karen was taking the stuff down to the Western, was it? And we went down to take some stuff. And on the way back, we started back. And I said, Ruth Ann, I don't know where we're going. This doesn't look familiar. Because she told me to turn my phone off because she knew the way home. I said, okay. Does this look familiar to you? And she goes, I think we missed our detour. And I said, I think we did too. An hour down the way, we had to turn around and kind of come back. It was a late trip that time, and I said, okay, we gotta eat, because I'm not gonna go home and try to eat something really late. So then we had to stop and eat. But yeah, we've done this a few times. Let me tell
I
you.
like to use a real map, and I pull out my map. And at one of our conventions, when they were asking about going places and using, you know, like your phone and stuff, well, I couldn't use my phone. I said, well, this is my Garmin, and I pulled out my map. And, you know, I still have one in my glove box. I still use them all the time. I like to be able to see everything else around it. Yeah.
But she still makes out her little slips of paper with instructions on here.
Okay, now are we done?
No. And then as we are going to Chicago, Chicago, as they said, we got rear-ended. That was not a fun trip. Well then, Ruth Ann says, Shane, get us the fastest way there. It was some of the not so good places to go. And Ruth Ann kept saying, are you sure this is the way to go? And he'd say, yep, this is the way to go. And we'd go, lock your doors. Lock your doors. We got there. All fine and easy. So, and she's already said the other trips we've gone on, so what can I say?
We've had fun,
Yeah?
and we're not done yet.
No?
No.
Yep, Denise is gonna come up here and talk about you.
They asked, your friends asked me.
So look out. They asked me.
And Denise, your dress looks beautiful.
Thank you, because my Northwestern district always has my back, so thank you. All right, can you hear me okay? Still on? All right, so I first met Ruth Ann when I went to the convention in the UP. I attended the first timers breakfast, as I know a lot of you did today. But in came this bubbly woman at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, wow, how much coffee are you drinking? And she turns and says, oh, I don't drink coffee. And I was like, this GFWC thing is gonna be really good. I don't know where this energy comes from. But then Ruth Ann began to tell about her friend Myrtle. And I was like, okay. So I left that breakfast, and I'm telling you what, I walked straight. I did not look, I was not gonna meet up with that Myrtle anywhere I went. And I walked straight ahead of me because I was in the UP, I'm not familiar with the area, and I was not going to drive that woman around. So thanks, Ruth Ann, that was a good phobia. Later on, at another time, Ruth Ann was telling about that she got a GPS, a Garmin GPS, and I was thinking, who has that anymore? We're even using it. But anyways, that was great. But no sooner had she got this GPS I heard about than the governor shut down the whole state. It was about that time, and next thing we knew, poor Ruth Ann, I'm the Facebook chair, and she was constantly asking me, how do I put this on Facebook and everything else? And I'm thinking, okay, so poor technology was not Ruth Ann's forte, but she jumped right in. She jumped in head first, got it done. We went to board meetings. Some people we never actually even saw on the board meeting because they couldn't get the picture up, they couldn't get the mute off, and we don't even know if they actually attended it, right? But Ruth Ann was trying very kindly to talk them through, come on, take this off, take that off, and it went great. But by the end of 2021, our Ruth Ann, she was like, it's in the bottom right-hand corner, get it off, and then you can go ahead and talk and do this and do that.
I'm gonna mute you.
I'm gonna mute you. Your time's up, go off. We still had some board members that I'm not exactly sure even got on there to this day, but I did learn one thing from that event. In a Zoom meeting with Ruth Ann, what you can do is put yourself on mute. Pretend like you're talking. She will keep yelling, unmute yourself, unmute yourself, unmute yourself. And pretty soon, if you pretend like you don't hear her, you don't ever have to speak on that Zoom meeting. So thank you for that. Later on, I went to we had our district meeting in October. It was an in-person meeting, and we were so excited, so excited. And Ruth Ann came, and I just want to read a disclaimer before I go any farther. What I'm about to show you is not the actual victim in this story, but instead will be played by a trained accessory to help portray the event. Ruth Ann begins to tell this story. This is a skirt, not a dress, and she's already told you the story of how this happened, but this is how I thought the story was going. Ruth Ann was wearing this long skirt on an escalator, correct? Or a long dress, excuse me. She got it caught. Now, I have looked at those escalators, and I do not see any picture that shows a woman with her dress caught in it trying to yank it out. So I don't know if that's actually a thing that happened to her, but she says so we're going to go with it. I then heard the story that this Greek god Hercules guy came out of nowhere, swooped in, yanked you from the claws of this escalator, and moved you to safety. And the lesson I learned from that was, always wear a long skirt to a convention and always use the escalator because some Greek guy jumped on a man. Lessons so much.
Denise, I have to tell you, I said he was this big bruiser of a football player. He was good looking though. And very nice. He just reaches over and yanks it out, and I'm standing there, and I have to finish because I don't know if I told people, but I am there and I'm caught and I can't get it out. And so here comes the concierge guy, and he comes over, and then over comes the security guy, and they're both just standing there looking and not doing anything. And then along comes the big Bruiser, the football guy, and he just kind of leans me over a little bit, so he yanks it out, and I mean, it's all ripped and chewed up, and I said, thank you. I could have died there, but so there are nice people out there, you guys.
That was true. But I went with Ruth Ann, we went to a club, I rode with her, and she told this story, and I've never been at this vantage point when that story was told. I was sitting out there, and I saw their club faces. I have never seen, there was a percent that were like, no, she's kidding. There was a percent of, is she for real? And then there was a percent that said, good grief, what's happening? But in all honesty, Ruth Ann has taught us so much. She taught us by inviting a friend to a meeting. You are introducing her to a wonderful sisterhood called the GFWC. She has told us that when your GPS has nowhere to go and you are thrust into the situation you aren't sure what to do about, you have a group of women that have always got your back that can help you unmute, put little clappy hands in the bottom, in the chat, right? Put things in the chat, all those things. So that's a great metaphor for our GFWC. And when you have a skirt that gets caught and it's like this, it's like any other GFWC project. You get your friends to just help you flip it up, hem it up, iron it, put it back on. Might not be the project we started out with, but you know what? In the end, it's going to be good, if not better than what we had. Thank you so much. We love you so much.
About your travels.
Well, yeah.
But
But you were there.
I'm usually there. But not that time. Not when you talk to the little old man.
No, because you went with Ashley, and they didn't miss the detour. I went by myself, and I missed the detour. Ladies. Her family. And my family. My husband, wait, not yet. My husband, BJ. Our daughter, Jenny. Her fiance, Matt. Well, you can kind of, so they'll know. And her two youngest children, Shane, who you guys have already met through the weekend. Yes, I know, everybody loves Shane. He is my IT techie guy. And then his sister, Kira. Okay. And then our son, Ian. And his beautiful wife, Cindy. And their three youngest. We have Natalie, okay, Maddie, and Austin. So thank you, family, for coming. Now, I'll say about a month ago, Swartz Creek President Teresa Cannon interviewed Diane LaBrie and me for a podcast. I'd never been on a podcast before. She sent me 6 to 8 questions that really got me thinking about my experiences with the GFWC Everett Women's Club and GFWC in general. One of her questions was, how long have I been a part of GFWC and how did I get started? Well, it's been 42 years. Oh, I was just a little one. And it's all because of Myrtle. And I know some of you have heard about Myrtle. Myrtle Emily North. She lived right across the street from us. She asked me to join her club many times. I always had an excuse. My kids were too young. They were like 1 and 3. We only had one car. Clubs just weren't my thing, etc., etc., etc. Especially a club of old ladies. They had to have been older than dirt. But to be perfectly honest, I am probably older right now than they were. Myrtle was persistent. One night, she asked me to drive her to club. I thought, oh, what's the harm? BJ took care of the kids, got them their baths, put them to bed, and then I just stayed for the meeting because it was easier than coming back and picking her up. Plus, I was keeping an old lady off the roads. Well, that's sneaky Myrtle. The next month, she called and asked if I could pick her up again, but could I also stop and get Peg Rose? Then the next month, we added Marge Telhelm. And then the next month, it was Thelma Bruggeman. And that went on for 2 years. When my husband finally suggested, he said, you know, you might as well just break down and join that woman's club. You do everything with them anyways. Well, you maybe might have guessed, I go to pay my dues, and guess what? Myrtle had been paying them for me. I was a member, and I didn't even know. And I volunteered at all of their very ambitious projects. Of course, I took my kids with me, most of the time. At the Hunter's Dinner, I don't know if you guys remember the Hunter's Dinners. Oh, they were just little, maybe 2 and 4. And they were so cute in their little aprons. But they would go around and they could carry the salt and pepper shakers. But then the older they got, they could do more. And Connie knows about that because she had her kids there too. Anyways, now it's the grandkids' turn. Working on National Night Out, the car show, strawberry, or the Sweetheart Dance, the Strawberry Shortcake. Right, Shane and Kira? Yes. And Ashley, oh yes, Ashley has been in all of those. And she loved the Sweetheart Dances, didn't you?
I looked it up.
Yeah. When I mentioned that I needed to write a farewell speech, my son suggested that I review George Washington's, which I did. I pulled it up and I Googled it and I read it. Anyways, it made me see how our government is just like the Women's Club. We have local clubs, districts, states, and then our GFWC. So thank you, Ian. I probably got a little different spin on it than what you were thinking. In my last few years while on the state board, we have celebrated many good things. 100 years of the passing of the 19th Amendment on August 26, 2020. We celebrated the 50th anniversary of the GFWC Big Rapids Club, 100 years for GFWC Edmore, and we are coming up on 125 years for GFWC Menominee. You know, and we even started a document retention committee. But there have been sad things too. The loss of past state presidents, Chris Burns and Darlene Barrett, past state parliamentarian, Marilyn Monroe Hart, our seamstress, Mary Sensabaugh. Last week, Jody Dean, and then just a couple of days ago, we lost Betty Haggard, a good friend of mine from Clare. Now tomorrow morning, we will be having our memorial service, and Sherry Anderson will be doing that. And I'm thinking, she told me we had about 34 people that we have lost just this last year. So yeah, we have had some sad things. But we have also survived Zoom meetings. And did you know that people look a lot taller on Zoom than they do in real person? Right, Marlene? And I have been, picking on her unmercifully, so thank you. Now, some of the nice things about Zoom, I did not have to get up at the crack of dawn. I wore my blue jeans at all the meetings. But we did hear a lot of questions. Well, can you see me? Can you hear me? How do I get it so I can see everybody? Well, you get the idea. Well, and I also have to admit, there were a few crazy things that happened too. I took a wrong detour in Escanaba a couple of years ago. Not only did I get to see lots of pure Michigan, but I met a really nice man who said you can't get there from here. I said, but you can give me directions so that I can. And he said, all right. But he gave me this way, and then this way, and then you gotta go that way, and then you gotta make a little U-turn, and then one more little turn this way, and then he said you should be on the road to where you need to go. But then he also said, you know, the Mackinac Bridge is closed. And I said, but at the rate I'm going, by the time I get there, I'm sure it will be closed. And you know what? It was. He has the cutest little dog, let me tell you. Another time, I ended up at the Detroit airport when I was leaving the Guiding Harbor board meeting. I even missed my exit for the Charlotte and Hastings once, but I got back there. But I have to say, the worst, the very worst, was last year in Atlanta. That was when I got my dress caught in the escalator. My daughter said it was a good thing it was a dress and not a skirt. And you will notice that it is not a long skirt that I have on tonight. Now, the last 4 years, I have read. Well, yeah, when we went to Great Lakes, we got rear-ended, but, you know. But you see, if you don't have things happen, then you haven't got stories. Shane was with us when we did that one.
He reminded me the next time I went with you what happened.
I know, he doesn't forget. Now, the last 4 years, I have read every single one of your club reports. And I know how busy you all are. So I really want to thank all of you for embracing my 5 President's projects. And the reason I had 5 is because I couldn't make up my mind. So we had arts in schools. You know, because when schools, their budgets get cut, what's the first thing that goes? It's the arts. It's the drama, the vocal, the band. And arts and music is something that lasts a lifetime. The environment, whoo, Donna has done so good with this one. Reduce, reuse, recycle. And I know you've heard that all before. But if we don't take care of Mother Earth, how can she take care of us? And a little extra thank you for everyone that did their BYOB. They brought their own bottles, they brought their own bags, and they brought their own ballpoint pens. Thank you, everyone. We also had hand warmers for the homeless. So thank you, oh my word, all the plastic mats that you have made and donated to shelters and soup kitchens. And I always remember my mom saying, there, but for the grace of God, go I. And the Humane Society, all God's creatures, they need taken care of. Cats and dogs and gerbils, horses, even goats. Now, last but not least of my 5 was sleep in heavenly peace. And I am so glad that Karen Gasparowski introduced me to this wonderful organization. Just think how many kids are no longer sleeping on the floor because of what you are doing. Even after July, I am hoping that you will be able to do at least a couple of my projects. After all, most of us are women, and women can do anything. Teresa Cannon also asked me for some of my memories, you know, the best things, the funny things, the touching things. And geez, oh, peace, there were just so many. but I loved working the immunization clinics with Harriet. And then another favorite was we used to sell baked goods at the local bank. And we did it, I think, every month, but about every other month, I would man the station. And so, of course, I had to take the kids with me. And they would always go up to the people and say, "Oh, will you buy my mom's cookies so she can buy new shoes?" I know, it worked because we always seemed to sell out of everything the months that we were there. And I'm positive everybody thought I was trying to buy shoes for my own kids. But instead, we were donating them to the school. And then about 6 or 8 years ago, a father called and talked to my husband. He said that he had seen an article in the newspaper where our Everett Women's Club donated shoes to the kids at school. Well, he had been to yard sales all summer long and had everything that his 2 daughters needed for school but shoes. And he only asked for shoes for the 2 that were in school, even though he had 3. I called the ladies, and not only did we get shoes for all 3 of those little girls, but we got new outfits for them too. You'd have thought we gave them $1 million. Then, last year, we had a brand new member that kind of got us involved with Angels of Action. And we started to deliver Rock the Clock crock pot meals. And we had 10 families that we went to every week. We were told not to expect much from these people. Oh, were they wrong? We were invited in to see newborn little kittens. Oh, I thought for sure they were all gonna die. These kids are just mauling them. Look at these. But they all survived. Week after week, they were still there. I got original artwork. I got to see homework. And one place that we went to, it was the place where they had all the mud on the farm. Oh, yes. Anyways, this young gal wanted to show me her new dress that she had got for the homecoming dance. And I told her that she was going to be absolutely beautiful. And you know, I think that was probably the first compliment that girl ever had received. That is why we do what we do. Now, GFWC is the best kept secret there is. Most clubs are so under the radar, people don't even know we exist. Yet I don't know what our communities and your communities would do without you and GFWC. Now, before I close, yes, I'm getting close. I would like to thank Rhonda Gage, Marjorie Richards, and Fran Leonard for putting up with us for the night, just like in the old days when the state board would stay with club members, you know, before the district meetings. Oh, we had fun and fellowship. So thank you, and I think Fran's the only one here now, right? The others are gone. Now, I would be remiss if I did not thank Therese and Connie and Muriel and the rest of my Everett Women's Club. They have been my support for years. And you know, when I said we were coming here, Shane was worried about where his grandpa was going to sleep. And I said, well, he'll stay with me. And the first thing he said, well, where's Therese and Connie going to stay? We've kind of been the Three Musketeers for at least 20 years. Now, my last sales pitch, oh, and we've got stuff put away though. Therese, do we still have some of our limited edition, one-of-a-kind 125th anniversary ornaments?
We do, they're all relation.
Oh, all right, we do. So, we originally were, and they were for the 125th annual convention that we didn't have. So, that's why we really have them. But, they were originally $10 each. Then we went down to 2 for $10. And I think this weekend, Marion suggested 3 for $10. So is that what we were selling them for? Okay, how many we got left?
We didn't sell it.
Oh, good, thank you. We didn't sell any. All right, $1 a piece, okay? I'm not going any lower. So get your bucks out and you can get us a limited edition, one-of-a-kind Christmas ornament. They're green and it even says 125th anniversary. Shane's holding one up right there. Thank you, Shane. I would like you to be persistent like Myrtle. Ask your neighbor, the people you work with, your friends at church, even relatives, to come to your next meeting. Tell them you'll even pick them up. You never know. Maybe in 40 years or so, one of them just might be a state president. So thank you, all of you. It has been a true pleasure working with every one of you. So thank you.